and welcome back to the channel. So today we have a donut tour. Amazing donuts, filling donuts, fat yeast filled donuts to talk about. We have a mayor fucking up, messing up an airport, okay? And we have Shady Joseph P. Kennedy. We got to get into this, y'all. We have to get into the details, the nitty gritty. So the donut tour that I took, it was a walking tour. You can buy the tickets off of Expedia or you can buy them straight from Viator. It's $60 per person. But if you have the Amex rewards, you can actually go on, you can log in and go on, and they will have this same tour, but it'll be a discount. I think I ended up paying like 50 something for it. The tour guide, amazing. Let's just get into some of the videos on there.
Where are you from?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, nice. St. Louis. St. Louis is great too. So you guys know we send all of our toxic waste to the pork market from Cleveland. And we had a big boom in our stockyards and we're dumping all the like insane, real gross stuff into the Chicago River. And it's just disgusting. And so Chicago's like, all right, we gotta flush this. We gotta flush this out.
Right.
And a lot of people have been trying to get us to reverse the flow of this for a long time because it has massive implications for like trade and stuff like that. But anyway, one of the biggest reasons why we reversed the flow of the river was just to send all this disgusting gunk down to St. Louis. And so I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I just sued the pants off us. You guys were
Probably,
like,
yeah.
oh, actually, we don't really want like all your
trash.
Runoff.
Yeah.
It'd be dope if you wouldn't send that.
You wouldn't reroute.
To us. And this is actually true. We were like, this is classic Chicago.
So of course, with anything and all of things, I Googled this after the tour. And yes, St. Louis sued Chicago for reversing the flow of the Chicago River and sending its sewage downstream into the Mississippi River. Baby, not tell you, the Mississippi River has never recovered. That is some of the dirtiest water to this day in the Missouri area. Like it is dirty. Like, baby, they tell you don't swim in it. Hell, don't even boat in it. Baby, don't go down there. To this, and I'm not saying, obviously, this was in 1906 when they sued them. So obviously, we've had a long ass time to clean up the river. The river is never clean. That water is dirty. I don't know, it's dirty. The background: Chicago's sewage was polluting its drinking water source, Lake Michigan, causing deadly epidemics like typhoid fever. To solve the problem, Chicago's engineers undertook a project to permanently reverse the Chicago River's flow. They redirected it away from Lake Michigan towards us. Now you done fucked up our water. You want to give us typhoid fever and shit. You want to give us epidemics and shit. So the claim was Missouri obviously accused Illinois and the Chicago Sanitary District of creating a public nuisance and alleged that the sewage was poisoning the Mississippi River and it was threatening the health of St. Louis residents. Illinois argued that they were not to blame and pointed out that many towns along the Mississippi, including some in Missouri, also discharged waste into that river. So how are you trying to sue us and you not going after the other towns that's dumping their waste into that river? It's a pretty solid defense. If you suing me, you got to sue everybody. All y'all are dumping waste into that river, which is kind of fucking disgusting. And I'm glad we have regulations against that because of the defense and other things. Obviously, the Supreme Court ruled that Missouri had failed to provide sufficient enough evidence that Chicago was the primary cause of health issues in St. Louis. So the case was dismissed without prejudice, meaning that Missouri could potentially refile in the future with better evidence. So let's see if they refiled. Did Missouri refile the lawsuit against Chicago Sewer. What was it? Chicago Sewer. Girl, let me just copy and paste this because they sued Illinois in the sanitary district. Okay, against sanitary district after 1906. So no, we did not refile our lawsuit against those guys after it was dismissed. We just developed a more modern wastewater treatment.
We had a similar thing. We had a third airport over on Northern Island for a really long time. It's now a concert venue.
Yeah.
At Northerly Island. It's a horrible place to see a show, by the way. But it was like one of those things where like every mayor, it was all right. So the airport was like right next to financial district.
Right.
It's super expensive to fly into. It's only really used by like really like wealthy business people. They fly into Chicago. They're right next to downtown. They do some business. They fly out. Everybody else flies into O'Hare or Midway, right? As it is now, right? Every mayor is like, I'm gonna get rid of the airport at Northern Island. It's like one of these things that everybody promises they're gonna do, and then they can never do it.
The roads in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm sure that you know what I'm saying. Like every
St.
town,
Louis too. Never
like
fix
every
that.
town has something that somebody says it's gonna be a prestige project, and they can never do it.
Yeah.
Mayor Daley's grandson, our famous mayor, who's mayor of the night. You know, you guys are right with that name. His grandson was mayor in the late 1990s and early 2000s. He eventually was able to do it because he just sent a bunch of guys over there in the middle of the night with heavy machinery to just destroy huge portions of it. And literally in the dead of night. And then the next morning, it's like, oh, guys, this is such an embarrassment for my administration. Like, there was a big miscommunication. They thought they were supposed to tear up the runways. And like literally, I mean, just a bunch of guys with heavy machinery just ripping it apart in the middle of the night.
Over this?
You know, and it's amazing. And then, you know, like a year later, it's turned into this concert venue. And
So apparently, yes, Mayor Richard M. Daley destroyed Majors Field on March 31st in 2003 by carving giant X shapes into the runways overnight, rendering the airport unusable. The airport was located on Northerly Island.
We're going to walk about 2 miles over 2 hours. We're going to have 9 different flavors of donuts. It's advertised as 8. I already have an additional flavor in here. So we're probably not going to go over 9. If you want 10, let me know. Tap in. I'll get you a 10th donut. Okay, I'm going to start you off with a quarter of everything. We're always going to have extras if you want to double down. There's also no pressure whatsoever to eat anything you don't want to eat, right? You're here to have a good time at your own pace. If you don't like something on the tour, keep it to yourself. You know, I'm just kidding. Let's see. I'm going to ask one more time about dietary restrictions. You guys don't need to. You guys are good. We're all good. I want to let you guys know as well. You guys probably know this already. We don't end the tour back here. We're going to end about a block east of the Mag Mile. I just don't want that to be a surprise for anybody when we're not back here at about noon. So, and it's like 2 miles, 2 hours. Daily special. Today we're actually doing both daily specials. So they do a daily filled. Today we have the chocolate hazelnut. That's no joke. That thing did not come to play.
I want a picture.
Right? Yeah, get it. Here, I'll set them both down and you
Yeah.
guys can get some photos. And then we also have their other daily special is the Samoa. It's like the Girl Scout cookie.
Oh, it looks like a
Fantastic.
Samoa. Oh, wow.
Colossal yeast raised donuts. It's just your classic chocolate.
Nice.
So I'm gonna start you off with a quarter of both of these, and then I'm gonna give you. I'm just gonna split this because it's kind of like an insane donut. I'll split this in kind of balloons out like that. When it gets the oil, and it creates like a great. What do we think, folks?
It's a fluffy guy.
So the donuts from the donut vault were all delicious, but of course, different people have different thresholds for like chocolate. We have different thresholds for caramel. We have different thresholds for coconut. The yeast raised one, I actually like that the best. The Samoa is pretty to look at, but I don't think I could eat a full Samoa donut. It was a lot. And then that little hazelnut donut with the filling was hazelnut. Oh my god, you guys, it was so much. That donut is like really thick. You really have to be a pastry lover. And I am, but like you have to be probably like pastry obsessed to eat of an entire hazelnut filled donut.
But it's a big misconception that Marshall Field himself built this thing. It's actually his son, Marshall Field Jr., who's a longtime friend of the tour. He's going to be joining us today, literally right over there. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. So Marshall Field Jr., he financed the construction of the Merchandise Mart 1929. At that time, this was the largest commercial building on planet Earth. It's 4 million square feet on the inside. The Aids had to wear welding from one side of the building to the other in a timely fashion. I think that's pretty fun. We're going to go ahead. So Marshall Field Jr., he builds the biggest office like ever in 1929. Guys, what else happened in 1929? The stock market crash, the Great Depression began, and the global economy.
That was quick.
Jr. had just built the biggest like office of that's what you call bad timing. This building sat virtually empty for 2 entire years. Imagine you like go, they had one tenant in its first year of operation. Imagine you're like, oh, you make a new like connection. You're like, oh, first like come by my office. You go to their office. It's 4 million square feet of ghost town before you get to their front door. That's an insane vibe, right? I'm going to tell you guys something I don't normally say on the tour, but I think it's frankly more interesting than anything else I've said so far about this building. It's purchased by the Kennedy family in 1952. At the time, Joe Kennedy, JFK's father, was head of the family. Anybody know about this guy? Not the nicest guy, okay? Not Joe Kennedy was not a very good guy. There's, he was famous for a number of things. A lot of people imagine he was like a famous bootlegger, selling illegal alcohol during the Prohibition era. We're not really clear. The historical record isn't really that clear on what he was doing at that time. This guy was a criminal, though. This guy did so much criminal stuff it would blow your mind. I mean, he was in mobbed up movie distribution. I mean, he did a ton of stuff.
And of course, I had to come and Google it. Joseph P. Kennedy. Y'all, this man is a criminal, allegedly. This is all alleged. But I think he did it. If somebody says one bad thing about you, like, okay. This man has a whole hoist of bad things. He was out of order. Joseph P. Kennedy was widely considered to have engaged in shady and ruthless business practices, and his public life was marked by controversy. The tour guide was talking about why he would, need to purchase this market. Alleged bootlegging. So despite denying it, there are article after article saying that he made a large portion of his fortune through illegal liquor smuggling during the Prohibition, and that mafia figures like Frank Costello claimed to have worked with him during this period. So let's hop back up here to his business dealing. Stock market manipulation was a part of how he amassed his fortune. So the stock market manipulation and the bootlegging, dirty money. So how do you clean dirty money? You buy the market. And that's what the tour guide was saying. Oh, and then they owned it in 1945. They owned that mart for 50 years. And for 50 years, the Merchandise Mart to clean dirty money. 50 years is a long time to own something. And then all of a sudden, you want to sell it in 1998. I would have just kept it. But let's ask. Why? Okay. They said they sold the mart in 1998 to take advantage of high property prices in the market, as the property was the last remaining business asset of the Kennedy family fortune established by Joseph P. Kennedy. While the family stated that they weren't under pressure to sell, the transaction also provided liquidity and a way to defer capital gain taxes by having the family receive a large stake in the purchasing company Fernando Realty Trust in lieu of all cash. Oh, girl, so they still owned it, basically. All this last sentence told me was, we're not gonna own it in name. We're gonna let you be the name that own it, and you have to pay the taxes on it. We're gonna all each get large stakes in the company, so our percentage of stake added up will overrule yours. So ours can be 51 and yours is 49. Something. It was the family's decision to exit the private real estate market and transition towards public market investments. Yeah, 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 yeah. So Joseph P. Kennedy, he entered the film business and used rape allegations to acquire control of Alexander Ponta, yes. I know I just fucked up his last name and I'm sorry. Theater Empire. Let's hop into another tab. So in 1926, Joseph P. Kennedy, he moved into Hollywood. He started buying up theaters. So here's Alexander. He had a chain of 63 theaters. Kennedy came in. He was like, all right, you got 63 theaters. I'm going to offer you $8 million. Alexander said, hell no. So you know what Joseph P. Kennedy does? Allegedly, this motherfucker used Eunice Pringle to accuse Alexander of rape, allegedly. So let's read this. It says, shortly after his standoff with Kennedy, Alexander found himself on the receiving end of a rape allegation. Eunice Pringle, and I've read this later, Eunice Pringle, how they described it, she came running out of the theater screaming that Alexander had just tried to rape her. And this man's reputation and his money started slipping away. He was losing his fortune. He had to take his ass to Joseph P. Kennedy and be like, hey, remember that you said you wanted to buy my theater chains? Do you still want to buy them for the $8 million? Joseph was like, hell no, nigga. You ain't got no money now. I know you ain't got no money. And I know your reputation is destroyed. So we go cut that over half. So I was going to give you $8 million. Now I'm going to give you $3.5 million. Bruh. This man, like, y'all, can you like think about that? They just thought it was a little too convenient to be a coincidence. And I agree. So right after you're told no for $8 million, she just pops up. That's wild as hell. And then I had it in my head. I was like, well, maybe Eunice Pringle was one of Joseph P. Kennedy's lovers because he liked to date the actresses. He had an affair with a movie star. It just reinforced my thought that it might not have been blackmail. It might have just been his mistress doing what he asked her to do because she was fucking that man at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, hey, babe, help me out, little yang yang yang. And she was like, okay. And then she did it. This is Gloria Swanson. He had an open affair with her that ended bad because he was too mean for her, basically. And the nigga was stingy. She found out he was using her money to pay for gifts for her. Oh, here it is. She found the receipt. That's what ended the affair. I read some other articles. You're not going to be mean to me. You're not going to be rough in bed, because that's apparently what it was. She was like, he was rough in bed. She's like, the only good thing about it was he didn't last long. I said, oh, bitch. So you're not going to be mean to me. You're not going to be not even good in bed, rough in bed, and then you're trying to swindle me out of money like you be swindling all these other people? Absolutely not. We breaking up. So to me, what he did to the woman that he had an open affair with, you can't tell me he didn't have an affair with Eunice. When I read this part that Pringle had a daughter named Mary Worthington, I said, oh bitch, this runs deep. I said, Joseph P. Kennedy was more than just the man she was sleeping with. He's the father of her daughter, and she passed this child off as the daughter of her husband at the time, and he ain't even the real father. But I was wrong because I ended up Googling it. So my headcanon was completely wrong. Mary Worthington was obviously not the daughter of Joseph P. Kennedy. He was not in Hollywood during the time that Mary Worthington was conceived. And here's me falling into my conspiracy theorist bag. Why the fuck he named one of his daughters Eunice? You guys, why did he name one of his daughters Eunice? Why? Why did he name his daughter Eunice? When the woman that he used to accuse Alexander of rape. Allegedly, her name is Eunice Pringle. You guys, why the fuck did Joseph P. Kennedy name one of his daughters Eunice Kennedy? Cause ain't no way in the hell you like the word, you like the name Eunice all that real. I don't even, girl. The name is ugly, for real, for real. The name is ugly. There's no way in the world. What did his wife like? Whose idea was it? Was it the wife's idea because she liked the name? But girl, like, what is going on? Girl, ugh. Okay, but let's this is the last thing we gonna have on Joseph P. Kennedy. Not only was he a criminal, but he was a bad dad. And this is probably the number one thing. He sent his daughter to be lobotomized, you guys, and it left her permanently incapacitated. Just think about it. You didn't have 9 children. Joseph P. Kennedy looked at his children more as assets. I guess when Joseph deemed that Rosemary Kennedy wasn't gonna live up to what he had, what he had in store for her, basically, he agreed to lobotomize her. I think this was the most fucked up thing. That's why, and also, not to go on another rant, but this is really why I don't think people should have more than 2 to 3 kids. I just don't. Think about it. This man had 9 kids. He had a surplus of people. Oh, I don't like what I was just gonna say. It was kind of rude. That's gonna be the end of today's video.